So when you're brand new in the social media space, when you're just a brand new company in general, you don't have a brand to build off of. You don't have the Nike brand or the Apple brand or whatever else, the Sony brand to build off of. So you don't have anywhere to start. You don't know what people like about you. You don't know what people hate about you. You don't know any of that stuff. But what you do have is you have that factor of, I'm doing something new, I'm trying to do something cool, and I need your input. You know, you have that advantage. When you're the bigger brands, you don't really want people's input. You kind of already paid $100 million in market research for the past 10 years in order to understand what the consumers want. But the smaller companies, the new ones, giving people the opportunity to say to you, giving your potential consumers the opportunity to say to you, hey, if I were you guys, I would do it like this. That makes them feel as if somebody's actually paying attention. And if you guys actually start implementing some of their ideas and their thoughts, then it makes them feel drastically more important than they might have ever felt in their lives. So if you were starting off, the first thing that I would do is just strike up a conversation and just say, hey, look guys, we're thinking about making some jeans. What would you want them to be?
And also, assessing tool usage is, doing the behavioral targeting is hard if you don't know what your users are using. So there's this thing in qualitative assessment on the web, it's called a follow me home. It's a type of qualitative study. Let's say you're selling jeans, let's say you're Levi's, and you want to know what your users are using. You could, send out a big old survey. Let's say you have 10,000 email addresses, and you can send out 10,000 emails, and you'll have a 10% open rate, or probably 14% open rate if it's a survey, and then maybe you'll have a 10% response rate. So you send out 10,000 emails, you get back 320 responses, and maybe half of them will actually be valid and will actually get through the 10th question or whatever. Or you could just find 10 users who are people who've been buying Levi's for a while and say, hey, can we come over to your house one night? And they'll say, all right, it's a little weird, but sure. And you take a video camera and you just videotape them surfing the internet. You see what they do and where they go, and you don't say a darn thing to them. You just tape them and just let them do their thing. And you say thanks and you leave. That's it.
And they'll still leave thinking that you're a little weird, but that's okay.
But that kind of qualitative data, it tells you what their social technographic tool usage is. Like, do they go on YouTube? Do they read blogs? Or are they just going on the My Little Pony discussion forum? You don't know until you get in there and you do that qualitative assessment. So if you're thinking of selling them underwear or bags or diamond rings or whatever it is, maybe doing some qualitative assessment would be really helpful. The good thing about qualitative is there's no hard cost. It's very cheap to do. The bad thing is you got to watch the video later and take a lot of notes.
So with the companies that I work with, we do PR and social media for them. They usually have their marketing underway and they kind of know who they're trying to reach. And so just in terms of executing on who they want to reach, we kind of help them. If they've decided that they want to target women of a certain socioeconomic background in certain states, then we'll go onto Twitter and follow people who do that. We'll start, Twitter isn't, everyone's on Twitter, but
Not yet.
It's a great technique you're talking about, though.
It is a kind of jump to Twitter, which I tend to do now, and I shouldn't. I think that you have to figure out who your market is, and then you start listening to them, essentially. And that would be my biggest advice, is that before you even put anything out there, find out who it is that you want to reach, and just start following them. Follow them on Facebook, see what they're doing on Twitter, see if they have blogs themselves, and start writing comments on those blogs, and get an idea of who your target audience is and what they're saying, so that you can add something to that conversation. And that really is what social media is about. It's like there's a community of people who are talking about something that I'm interested in, and now I'm going to give them something that I know will be interesting to them. And that would be my
There's a name for that, though, which you're talking about, this tactic. It's a great tactic. It's called reverse targeting, or sometimes I call it silver medal targeting, because you're targeting the person who is the influencer in the field, figuring out who is listening to them or who's talking to them, and you're trying to sort of piggyback on it. It's highly effective. I use it all the time. I call it silver medal because you don't have the gold medal. You're just trying to be number 2 and through your targeting, but it really works as long as you do it over a good period of time. Very good point there.
She also just indirectly raised an excellent point too, in that everybody, right now Twitter's all the rage, and I noticed that she raised Facebook and Twitter, but MySpace still has 225 million users. I don't know why, I don't know how, but they still do. And Friendster still has 95 million users. They're all in Asia, and they are extremely active. But you need to know where your market's going. You need to know what they're doing. If you want to target Latinos, you need to go to High Five. Facebook is not the one. If you want to target Asians in Asia, you need to go to Friendster. Not even Facebook can compete with them in Asia. if you want to target the UK, then it's MySpace and it's Bebo. Twitter is currently all the rage here in the US because Oprah just decided that it's the thing. Ashton Kutcher too. Don't get that, but it is what it is. But it's all about who your target market is, and if your target market does follow Ashton Kutcher, then you need to be on Twitter.
Yeah. Something like studying social media is sort of like sitting at the corner of 6th and Mission all day. You're gonna see a lot of things happen. Some of them are just absolutely completely insane, and some of them are really normal and pretty predictable. And weird things are gonna pop up, and you'll be like, "Yep, there's that guy going crazy again," or there's that person running a shopping cart into a car, or oh, there's a businessman walking to work. And you sort of have to take sort of the outliers with more traditional things that happen, and just sort of be a little bit blasé about what you see.
And again, like only bite off as much as you can chew, because if you try to maintain a site on all of these different pages, it's going to be really overwhelming unless it's a designated responsibility to maintain the social media. So do what you do and do it well, and find out where you need to be.
So tonight, everyone's, because they're getting a wealth of knowledge right now too. And then by tomorrow morning, what is one thing you would, recommend anyone do by tomorrow morning? Is it get over to a Twitter account? Is it, open something, get involved? What is it?
Before I go into the office every day, I write out the 3 big things I want to accomplish that day. That's usually the way I do work. I check email 3 times a day. I try to accomplish 3 tasks every day, besides tying my shoes and making coffee. Just sort of okay, write this proposal, or do this client document. And so I'd say, sit down tomorrow, make a cup of coffee, put on your noise-canceling headphones, put on a really good record that inspires you, and write out a really basic 30-day social web strategy. Just the kinds of things that you think you can accomplish over the next month. And the trick is to not actually start doing the work. Just write the plan of what the work is going to be, and the things that you want to try and accomplish based on however much time you have. So let's say you have 30 minutes a day to devote to this, then figure out a total of 20 work days a month, 38 minutes a day. It's, what is it, 2.5 hours a week, that's 10 hours worth of work. Or write out what that plan is going to be, and put a bunch of check boxes, and put that thing on the wall, and then every day do that little bit of work, and then check it off when you're done. And then at the end of the month, look at your web analytics or your Google Analytics or whatever, and you'll notice whoa, our website traffic's gone up a little bit, or there's 40 people talking about our brand. Like my racing client, they weren't on Facebook a month ago. Today they posted that tomorrow's the opening day of the racing season, and 30 people responded. It's these little incremental gains. San Francisco Convention and Visitors Bureau, another client of ours, they weren't on Facebook a month ago. They have 30,000 fans today. That's a lot of people. So, but those things aren't done overnight. They're done by writing a strategy and then executing against that strategy.
Something I think everybody, I haven't figured out how to answer your question yet, but I'm going to piggyback off of his for a second, in that in the beginning, social media is relatively inexpensive. It's a relatively inexpensive way to get involved with your customer base and your clientele. In the beginning, Nike spends tens of millions of dollars a year on their strategy. So I think people have this mistaken impression that it's a really cheap and effective way to interact with the public. And like I said, in the beginning, it is that. But in the end, in the middle and the end, it starts to be one of those things that you actually have to budget for. Right now, I can go in and I can do a decent chunk of the social media strategy for my company. Can I do that 6 months from now when we're a lot larger, hopefully, than we are right now? No, there's no way that I can do that. And so it is one of those things that you need to think about as another potential budget line item. Because I don't want anybody to walk out of this thinking that, you can go and run your own social media strategy for a whole year or 2. I wish I could do it, but there's just no possible way.
Is that time or money?
Both. It's
Both.
hard and soft cost, and if you're looking across the board, if your marketing budget's $100,000, you're looking at 10 to 15,000 on social media. What we're seeing is about 10 to 15% of across the top. It's about what we're coming. That's for lifestyle brands, and especially for brands.
So where are you incurring the costs? How do you incur $15,000?
Well, it's a combination of the hard costs, which is things like tools, maybe research software, front end, reskinning sites, reskinning widgets, so doing some actual HTML, some hard coding, doing customization, scripting languages, doing computer programming, and then in turn, they're the backs on what every good social media program is run.
I love interns.
Not in a creepy way.
No.
Yeah, because the research component, granted, software can do a lot. Like I was using Scout Lab software all day today, great stuff.